In this video, I would like to demonstrate how to use an image field. I'm going to use a cars model to demonstrate the use of image field. So I'm going to proceed and define some attributes of the car. I would start with the brand, which I would define as a car field with a maximum length of say 100, and then the model name, which would also be a car field, and the maximum length would be say 100 also, and then year it was manufactured, let's just say year, and I would like to define that as an integer field, and then I would include a photo in this model, and this is where I would define an image field. It is always common to specify an upload to option, which is a place where I could define a directory or subdirectory where the images will be saved. And usually we would use something like a %y, %m, and a %d, so that we can capture the year, the month, and the day that this image was uploaded. And of course, if I would allow a blank input, I would also define a blank equals true option. Right after this definition, we should go to the settings.py under the project folder and specify these two items. The media URL, I already have these typed in here. Media URL was specified, which specifies the URL or the root URL for the images, and also a media root, which is the root location of the media files. Now, when images are saved, they are not saved into the database, but instead they are saved into this folder. The actual file is saved into this folder. Before we can run migrations, we have to make sure that this cars application is registered in the project. And the way to do that is to go into the installed apps and register this cars.app.configuration, and after that we can proceed with creating the migration file. Now it's complaining that whenever we use an image field, the pillow package has to be installed. So before we proceed with the migration, before we can successfully migrate, we have to install this pillow package. It's not going to take long to install the pillow package. So once it's successfully installed, we can proceed with the migration. And those migration files should have been created here. And to run those migration files, we call manage.py migrate, which would copy all the tables. I think I've already run this one, so the cars database table should have been migrated already. Now, the next step in this process is to create a super user. I'll call my super user admin. Okay, so I already have a super user, so I can just exit this out, and actually I should be able to run my server and start entering some values. Entering some values for my model. I should be able to log in and Now the model does not appear here because it has to be defined or registered into the admin page using either a decorator. This is my preferred way of doing it. Register the model, and I should create a reference to it, or else it's not going to be recognized in this module. This is a different module, admin.py. I would create a class that inherits from model admin, and I would just pass because I don't have to define anything or customize anything for this model. So if I refresh that, the cars model should be here, but it's saying that cars gear has not been defined. So if there's no such column, when we get such kind of error message, it just means that we haven't defined or we haven't migrated our model. Manage.py. Let's run this migration again. It's a two-step process. First is make migrations, and then the next one is to migrate. Okay, maybe we should change this to a different name. Let's see. Yes, and then we should change, run the migration again in order to put that migration, implement that migration. No such column here. What's going on in here? When we run into such a problem, it's better to just have a fresh start, delete the database, SQLite database, which I already deleted, and increment the SQLite database. So we would start with a brand new one and then delete the migration files here, including the cache, and there are 2 migration files. So once I delete these, it should give me a fresh start. I should be able to now migrate this model without any problem. Sometimes it's hard to just keep on trying to figure out what's wrong. It's better to just create a brand new database. And when a brand new database has been created, there is no super user yet, so that's what we need to create next. Because when we delete the database, the super user would be wiped out. So we need to create another super user. So afterwards, we should be able to go ahead and run the server. And hopefully the admin page should show the cars model where we can enter our values. Let's see. built 2018 and pick a file. So we can choose that file here and save it. Another key element in successfully serving the image file, especially in the in development, is to add this line, and this allows Django to successfully locate and provide the image to the web page. And another thing that I would like to show is in this template, the location or the URL for the image is taken or retrieved from the URL property of the image field. And after this has been provided, everything has been set up, we would see a page like this showing the image that was successfully displayed coming from the database.